Yummy, yummy. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. I'm Jeff Grubb. I write for GamesBeat.com. I also do Grubbsnax over here on Giant Bomb. And I also own a bidet. It's bidet season here at Giant Bomb. And we're here to talk about your butthole. Starting with Knights of the Old Republic remake. I'll say that one... there's some pretty good info out there. It is a little bit weird that BioWare is not involved at all, but I think it's important to remember that when BioWare was acquired by EA did not necessarily acquire the rights to that game. That is something that stuck with Lucasfilm, and Disney basically owns the code and all that stuff and the copyright. So they could do what they want with that. But that doesn't mean BioWare was never involved. BioWare was almost certainly working on that game. I think this is something that Mr. Matty Plays, pretty good YouTuber about this sort of genre. I think he's a big KOTOR fan. He's talked about some of this stuff. This is some of the stuff that I've heard as well. And that's BioWare was working on this. BioWare Austin, I believe, and everyone was like, "Hey, let's remake this game. That'd be really good." When Casey Hudson came back, though, the BioWare Austin basically had to shelve Knights of the Old Republic remake in favor of working on Anthem content and Anthem live service stuff, which in hindsight was the right decision. So they dropped Knights of the Old Republic remake in favor of doing Anthem stuff. Not really great. Obviously looking back, it's easy to say that now. At the time when they made this decision, this was before Anthem launched. This is before they knew it was going, they wouldn't have launched the game as it was if they knew it was going to crash and burn the way it did. So at the time they were like, hey, this is our next big thing. Let's get you working on some content for it. And I guess it just goes to show it's like in development, you have to make bets, and sometimes those bets are going to go bad. But when EA made that decision and said, hey, we're going to shelve this project, Disney and Lucasfilm were like, hey, we definitely want that to happen, though. We want a Knights of the Old Republic remake. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I think one is they know it's one of the most beloved Star Wars things, but they also know that it's something that they can build on in terms of their overall storytelling. So making new stuff that happens after the most recent trilogy, that's a lot of work, a lot of thinking, and you can't really go too far into the future, because if you make something that's like the far-flung future of the Star Wars universe, you then have to figure out how the characters that people know and sometimes love eventually fit into that story, or what they did to cause certain things to happen. You just can't go and just do stuff willy-nilly. It takes a lot of planning. Going back in the past, you already know where things end up, so it's much easier to play around in that space and say, as long as you don't do these things to mess up the continuity, it'll be fine. And so what they want to do is, and this is what's happening with the High Republic, which is the new Star Wars storytelling initiative that happens 1,000 years, I think maybe 700 years before A New Hope. Yoda is alive, but he's young. It's young Yoda time, not baby Yoda time. And so they want to play around this space. They are doing a lot of books right now. I've read a couple of them. That first one's very good. Because they want to do more stuff in the High Republic, and then before that with the Knights of the Old Republic, which took place even way before that, they're like, hey, let's bring the game back. Let's remake it and use that as a jumping off point to get people excited about this other content that we're going to be working in. And so we really, really want that. So when they wanted that, they're like, hey, we'll take pitches. Aspire pitched them, won the project, it seems like. And Aspire definitely is bringing in ex-BioWare people to work on that. But I think Aspire is also in Austin, so it makes sense. I think as for, is this going to be a Blue Point style remake or something less than? They're saying they're making it from the ground up. They say it's the most ambitious project they've ever done. I think that Aspire has a slightly skewed reputation right now, because most recently they've done remasters of Star Wars games. I think a lot of that was just these are projects that can make us some money right now. We can work on that stuff while this is our next big project. But before its most recent trend of what it's worked on with these Star Wars remasters, Aspire was really well known for doing really good work on Mac. They did a lot of the Mac gaming ports. Again, those are still just ports, but like these are people who are really good with code, really good working with stuff, and I think there's a good chance that if they do bring in enough talent and they have enough of a budget, and it seems like working with Sony, that they will have some of those things, they'll be able to pull off something that looks like a modern game, and that's the goal. That's what they've stated is their goal, is to create a modern remake of Knights of the Old Republic that really stands up to the original, but also can come out and act as if it was a game launching in 2021 for the first time. As for what is going on with the exclusivity, it's still a bit messy. The messaging is definitely confusing to a certain extent. I think that, like, if you were to ask Sony's going to say it's exclusive, which, you know, they did in a tweet. They're like, it's PlayStation 5 exclusive. Well, we know that's not exactly right. Like, Aspire's already said it, that Aspire itself is publishing the game on PC, even though Sony Interactive Entertainment is publishing it on PlayStation 5. And the wording was to the effect of, it is a PlayStation 5 console exclusive at launch, and it's coming to PC, is how they phrased it. Now, there's a little bit of a Rorschach test happening there, where some fanboys are seeing it and like, oh, it's going to come to PS5 exclusive at launch and come to PC later. And to me, that's not what those words mean. Like, if you were to say that, you would say PlayStation 5 exclusive at launch, because that way there's nobody saying, well, I'll just wait for the PC version. If you have a PS5, you'll just get the PS5 version, and that's that. Like, that's how you would market that. You wouldn't mention the PC version at all. It just confuses the messaging. So if you're saying PlayStation 5 exclusive at launch, I feel like most of the people watching the show fully understand this and get this, because most of you probably aren't hardcore fanboys, and you just kind of read the words and know what they're trying to say. And that's usually them saying it's not coming to Xbox at launch. That is us paying money to keep it off of Xbox. But Sony is publishing it, and a lot of the games they've published either take a long time to show up anywhere else, or they never come to Xbox. So there's reason for confusion. And when I reach out for answers from the companies involved and stuff, and like their PR, they're like, hey, we have no additional information to share at this time. What we said is what we're going to say about it. And if people are confused, so be it. It's kind of the subtext there. Here's how I read that. I read that as, Sony kind of wants people to be confused a little bit. They just want people to think of it as a PlayStation 5 game, even if it's not necessarily only ever going to come to PS5 on console, and it's definitely coming to PC at launch. Even if that is the case, Sony is putting a lot of money and time and effort into this, and they want to be the ones to shape the message, and Sony's not going to talk about the PC version because they're not involved with that one. Okay. I guess to that end, though, like, why would Lucasfilm and Disney work with Sony? Obviously, they are, they have a good relationship right now, and Sony's earned that trust through the Marvel stuff. Also, they have ties. They have strong ties to Sony with someone like John Drake, who I think doesn't work on the Marvel stuff. I think he's somewhat involved with the Star Wars stuff, though, and so like there's relationships there, and they know what they can get out of each other. And if like Sony's involved, Star Wars will hear them out and take the money, take the bag, and make it work. So also PlayStation right now has a lot of really good brand equity, and if you are in that situation where we talked about, where you want to reestablish the Knights of the Old Republic canon, or as canon, and you want to build on that for telling comic books, or for selling comic books or stories or whatever, or potentially even movies, you want to work with a big company that is going to be able to help you accomplish that, and Sony seems to be in a position to do that right now. I think that's probably what Disney sees, and then probably Sony also spent a good amount of money to get that exclusivity. Let's talk about that delay season. So earlier this week I said there was delay season, and that's it was teasing, and I'm sorry about that, but it's kind of all I could do, and I wanted to tease it. I'm sorry. I'm a bad person. I have ADHD, and I need to get the dopamine where I can. And so I was like, oh, I'll get some attention for this. So yeah, I was seeking attention, and but I wasn't allowed to say what the game was at the time. That's just that was the agreement. That's how it went. So so I posted it out there, and it went a little bit more than I intended or hoped for, and it would cause people basically what happened is I posted in a Discord when I shouldn't have, and it was mine, and I'm like, oh, this will be safe until morning when I think they're going to announce this. Of course, 5 minutes later, the screenshot's out there, and I think that is what caused some investors who might be savvy in terms of paying attention to gaming news were like, hey, dump EA stock, this game's not coming out till 2023 or something like that, which was just wild to me. Investors, I don't know if you know this, are very, very, very stupid. They don't know what they're talking about almost half the time. They just are doing cocaine and spending money. That's what that's at least in my vision, that's what they do. And so they hear something like a game's getting delayed. That's all the information they need to freak out and sell the stock. And EA's stock went down like 6-7%. Like, it was $2 billion worth of market capitalization. It was out of hand. Whatever. I just think investors are just, the amount of money they control compared to the amount of information that they're acting on is so disparate. Like, there's such a wide delta there that it boggles the mind and really makes you lose faith in everything. But I wasn't too worried because my understanding was the delay was not until like next fiscal year for sure. And I don't know why, if you were an investor, you would have assumed that, because everything that's getting delayed is getting delayed to Q1. That's still within EA's fiscal year. So why wouldn't you just assume that if you hear Battlefield 2042 is getting delayed? I guess, I mean, they're just assuming the worst, I guess. I don't know, but it was probably not going to get pushed out of the fiscal year, and it didn't even get pushed out of the quarter. So, and I knew that's kind of what the case was going to be. So when the stock went down, I'm like, as soon as this news comes out, it's going to bounce back up, and that's what happened. So it was a wild ride, but it was one that invariably it ended up exactly where we started, except for now Battlefield 2042 is coming out November 19th instead of whatever its October release date was. It was about a month of a delay. From It's On Me, what is your stance on the bidet? I am pro bidet. I have a cold water bidet that's just hook it up to the plumbing, and that's that. It's all good. I will say that the water pressure in my house is very high, something that I'm concerned about. There's a regulator over there between the street, like the sewer, like the street, and then my house, and this governor is wearing out, I think. And so all of our water pressure is super high, which means you got to be a light touch on the bidet, just a light touch, all right? Because you don't want to blast off into space. You want to sit on that toilet and feel clean. You don't want to feel like you don't want to feel violated. So you got just a light touch on the bidet, but when you get it right, you feel super clean. It's good stuff. And then but also I think people hear the cold water thing and they get a little bit I think cold water is good for you. I actually started taking cold showers again recently. Fantastic stuff. I feel really good after cold showers. So so I'm all for it. But if you want to get fancy and have your bidet sing at you or whatever while drinking your IPAs, I think I'm mixing up my Jeffs there, but go for it. That seems like a lot more work though. If you just want to try it out though, you really can get a relatively affordable and then also very easy to set up bidet off of Amazon and try it out, and it'll be cold water, and just change your life, man. You gotta feather that knob. That's right. You just gotta feather the knob. Just touch a little bit. 1%. Just set it to 1%. Also, don't let the kids get it, because then they love seeing the water shoot across the room. It's like, oh my god, get out of here. All right, I'm gonna get out of here. I'm gonna go get some lunch. Really appreciate y'all showing up. Yeah, we're gonna go feast. That's right. All right, everybody. I gotta remember to hit the button, the yummy. But before I do that, I want to say thank you for watching. Have a good one. Until next time, take care of yourself, and goodbye.